What's up, guys? This is Joe, otherwise known as Catching BTC on Twitter. This is Bitcoin Watch number 15, where I do technical and fundamental analysis on Bitcoin's price action, as well as set some price targets and expectations for the future. So what's up, guys? It's been a while since my last update because nothing's really happened. I've been overlooking, checking price action every day. Again, I said on the last video, I'm out of the market until I can see a clear break out of this range that we've been stuck in since July. I'm really not interested in getting any positions. I'm not a range trader. I trade trend positions, and that's all I'm interested in trading. Anything else, specifically in a range, the probabilities that your position will play out are just so low, and it's just a lot of chop. So I've been out of the market since really. I traded this really high volume the buy volume spike out of this bottom here, really expecting the 618 retrace to be the bottom, but I got stopped out. And ever since I got out of that position, I've sort of just left the market because it confirmed for me that we were stuck in a range and that we're really not going to see any breakouts, at least happening within the next month. So now we're coming into September, late December, October, November, and the way that the S&P is set up, I'm really expecting some big moves coming into store of value type assets, specifically gold and Bitcoin and some other small cap cryptos. Just as more money flows into the space from the stock market, or just general speculation into of the future of the stock market coming into Bitcoin, and then sort of just like leaking down into the small cap coins. So I'm really expecting the big move to be in Bitcoin. Really, I think all eyes should be in Bitcoin. Shouldn't be in huge position rounds. Obviously, I'm in outs, but it's more accumulation at this point. Just getting in whilst the market's still pretty oversold. It's very oversold, and I've been sort of getting in for a while now, even since March in 2019 is when I first started buying really. And I'm up quite a lot on those positions, but I've gone over these to you guys anyway. But today I'm just going to go over a few comparisons as to some fractals that we've seen in Bitcoin before, and sort of the market action we're looking at right now, and I'm just going to compare it to. I'm going to compare it to two different fractals. One of them you probably expected me to do, and the other one is a bit different. And I'm going to start with the different one just because I think that's what people will be more interested in seeing, as I have gone over the other one before. So the reason I'm picking, I'll go through it now. Hold on, let me just get it better. So the fractal I'll be picking today is it will be from this capitulation drop from about the 6K floor that we were stuck at for a long time, down to 3.1, I think it was, 3.1, and sort of this slow trend reversal out of this bottom that we've had. So I'm just going to get, if you guys didn't know what I'm doing here, this is the bar pattern tool on TradingView. You click here, you click bars pattern, and then you sort of just click the area that you want to analyze, and then oh shit, sorry about that. And then you can actually drag the fractal or the bars pattern you've chosen over to your designated spot and sort of compare it with the market. I'm just going to take this volume off. I might put that back in a sec, but for now we don't really need it. So let me just get this to how I want it to look. So just coming off this, I'm sure you could probably tell that it actually does look quite similar. And so I'm really looking, so if I just put some examples of what I'm really looking at here. So this big sell-off from the first spike here is really what I'm looking at here. This low here, looking at here. And then this bounce back was the final peak before our low was made down here. So this would be our low comparison here. As you can tell, it's quite a similar double bottom here, with the double bottom being made here, and so this was an Adam and Eve bottom. So I tried to do this for you and it didn't work, so you can't flip the letters around. But this was the A, which makes the atom. So you get this sharp sell off from the bottom, wick back up, and then you get this slow, low volume range back up to the top. So if you just want to take that in quickly, you can pause the video and just compare it. See what I'm looking. I'm just going to take these off, and you can just compare it with your naked eye if you don't want to use these trend lines covering the chart. And so you can sort of see there how similar in structure it is. Obviously, the way the reason it's similar is because you have this big capitulation, or in our thing, it's more of the sell off from the top, so the bubble of this parabolic move up is popped, and it's capitulation and a bubble popping is very similar because you get big sell volume involved, a lot of sell volume involved, and you sort of get this initial sell-off, and then you get this first support being tested, which really offers quite a big move in the market back up, which you saw here and we saw here, and then you get this final dumping, really to make a low in the market, which was done here, and for us this was about 9K, and for so many reasons I've gone over in so many different videos, stretching back to July, as to why I was so happy for this to be our market bottom. It's just got so many lovely levels there, including support, horizontal support resistance, extensions, all that kind of good stuff, that really made it where I want to see the bottom. So I just really like this comparison. And if I go on the volume, if I include the volume back into the chart here, and I go on the daily, and we just look at the volume, so you've got this big spike here, buy volume and sell volume, and then you just get this gradual decline coming down, really. Like just slowly decreasing, really getting to low volume. And that's the same thing that this market structure had over here. If we look at the 3K bottom here, you get this big spike of sell volume right here, and then you get this gradual decline. And the first instance, and as we reached this bottom, that was obviously the lowest volume we had traded, and then you had this big spike coming up here, and that's sort of now what I'm looking for. If this was the bottom of this retracement, I'm really liking how we're getting to some very low volumes in comparisons to the past few months, and we're sort of just sat ranging. And for me, that is something that I like to look for as a bottom in the market. And I'll go over, obviously, because we have this as another, I'm going to go through this as the next comparison. We have this low volume ranging here with the exact same market structure, but it's a different look on what we're kind of looking for. And the reason I don't like, I've chosen the other one first is because this is a bear market fractal, okay? This is a bear market fractal. This was the bear market. And we're not in a bear market anymore, so you don't really want to be using, the higher probability fractal trade is by using bull market fractals, and this was the first fractal of the bull market that we experienced. And it's sort of a trend reversal, which is now what we're waiting for. We're waiting for a trend reversal from this retracement. So this is why I prefer using this fractal, and this is why I'm showing you guys this first. Something in these sort of situations where we're stuck in a range and we're not really seeing any market direction at all, we're just seeing low volume trading. In those probabilities where you're trying to decide whether you should go long or short, you have to realize that the greater trend that we're in is a bull trend, and the state of the stock market teetering on the edge of collapse, in my opinion, and gold spiking quite a lot. That means money is flowing out of traditional markets, the stock market, and flowing into store of value markets, aka gold, and now Bitcoin, as it becomes a more established asset over the past 4 years. So for me, I really prefer to be looking at this fractal because you're getting this big capitulation from this bubble pop, and then this low volume ranging, and we are also making lower highs on the higher time frames. It's not as obvious. We have made this would be a higher time frame lower high, but I'd be sketchy to put any trend lines in yet, just because I think it's possible we might see some low volume ranging back up to see another sort of dip down to these lower levels, around 9K, 10K. But I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we were sort of just sat here for another week or two before we make a big move. But in my opinion, we're not going to see any big spikes, at least until the stock market has made a decision, because it's ranging quite a lot right now. And I'm really be looking for that. Monday and Tuesday buy volume, morning volume is really where you're going to see the most action on Bitcoin. Sometimes now it's actually coming into the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, but then you won't really see much on the Monday, Tuesday. So for me, if something doesn't happen by Monday next week, I wouldn't expect anything to really happen that week until possibly the next Sunday. So I'm looking for a move. The way the stock market's looking, I'd like to see a move on Monday, but it's possible we won't. But, that's when you should really be looking to be set up and in a position if you wanted to trade this. Obviously, I'm not trading it. I don't recommend you trade it because it is a range. Everything's pretty low probability. But I'd be trading the bullish trades, in my opinion, just because of the way the market's set up and we're in a bull market. So, that was just a quick fractal overview that you guys can look at. And now I'm going to choose the bear market fractal, which favors the more bearish situation. It favors a continued bear trend and the fact that we might hit 7.5K. So what we want to choose from the bubble popping back in 17 December, and then we'll just take it from here, I guess. So you already see when I actually try fit this in, because I have spent a couple of hours trying to really get this to look the way that I fit in with this, but it's not too similar in my honest opinion, and that is something that makes me a bit less interested. I don't trade fractals, and I don't recommend you trade fractals, but it is a very great way to compare markets and sort of expect what might be coming next. So if we just sort of get that coming down to here. So with this, we had three big lower high after this big capitulation sort of come down. We had three highs made, 1, 2, 3. And coming to this, we've had our big capitulation here and has 1, 2, and we haven't really had a third yet. But then you could also be looking at that in the way that this was one of them, this was another one, and this was a third one. And it's really, the more I try to stare at this fractal and compare it to the situation we're in now, it's just so dissimilar. It's not the same. It's a very different scenario. It is an example of a bubble popping, but it was a bubble popping into a bear market. This is a bubble popping into a bull market. And so the real strong capitulation that you're going to see here, I just don't expect it, in my honest opinion. It's very possible it will happen. Again, which is why I'm not trading the range, because it's just probabilities right now are pretty skewed. But are favoring bull market trades. I wouldn't want to be taking a bearish trade at what could potentially be the bottom of the market, guys. So I just wouldn't be going short or anything like that. If anything, if we sell off one more time, I would be saying to load up on spot Bitcoin, not being in any leverage positions, because the probability that whatever sell-off we get next, that is the final, done and dusted retracement, and it would be a great time to load up on some spot Bitcoin. AKA, everyone thought this was the floor, and any sell-off past that, you saw the smart people load up because they were like, okay, this bear market has gone down 88%, I think it was in total. I can't really remember the digits off the top of my head, but they realized, okay, we've been sat at a floor price for a year now, 6K. We were unable to break it. It would be smart of me to load up on Bitcoin here if this is the bottom, but any sell-off after that, it is very high probability that would be the trend reversal in the market. Obviously, if you understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin and realize that its price will just go up as you just keep printing US dollar. So, for me, I don't like looking at this. If I try to sit here and sort of mark up, what I think really would be the same sort of, bottoms, and it gets pretty tricky, because it's just not similar. As in, this low here, this didn't break the previous high, but this low here broke this previous high. So it's just not the same sort of market structure, and I wouldn't be looking at this. I'm gonna take that off now, guys, and I covered most of the things I wanted to cover, but we'll just make some quick levels here, to expect some sort of resistance in the market. So we have this trend coming down, really, quite well respected over the past 3 months. We kind of got a push over here, sort of really long squeezing, short squeezing positions, which I assume a lot of people did get squeezed out of from what I saw on Twitter. So if we just put some fib levels in, I'm not going to go over the major levels because I've actually done those so many times in the Discord channel. I'm sure you guys can see them. But for me, the main levels really are going to be here because of the 618, and just the clear market turning points that have occurred here. This would be my next level. 382 of the market. We're really getting pushed in. I don't know, I haven't actually looked at the extensions formed from these. They're not really where I'd want them to be. Let's try and put that there. Yeah, so no real extensions, or at least useful information coming from those extensions. So nothing I'd really be looking to use. And then price floors here, it's the same thing. You can this is a pretty easy way of looking because it's just this is the floor that we've made, just like in the 6K floor we had in the bear market. It's just we'll be tapping in between here. So we are in a range, guys. Look, this is a clear range. We are just going back and forth from support and resistance, not making a clear market judgment at all. Apart from maybe recently, you could count these lower highs as a reversal. I wouldn't be choosing that simply because it doesn't look like it's confirmed or anything yet. It's confirmed. For me, a confirmation. I'd love to see so obviously it's hypothetical. So if we made this the low here and sort of made the top of this. So what I really want to see is, a push up from here to test this trend line, and then a sell off back down to this 382 to test this support level, and then I want the confirmation for me would be a powerful high volume break here. That would really be a great trade if we see any high volume positions move up to this trend line. I'd love to see that 382 retracement and then another push out of this declining trend line. But they're just some levels to be looking at. If you guys want to look at the big time frame levels, then I suggest you go in the Bitcoin Watch and look at some of the previous posts I've done. There, guys, that was just a little update on some comparisons of what we're stuck in right now and what you should expect coming into the next few weeks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.